we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Please rise and join us in the pledge. Give me a second here. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming this evening. Go ahead and call the roll.
Trustee Guyer.
Here.
Trustee Spurling. Here. Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Betzinger.
Here.
Trustee Youngerman.
Here.
And Trustee Marisak.
Here.
And we're all here. Welcome. First item this evening is the public participation, public comment period. Any member of the public that wishes to address the board may do so. Just if you could just state your name and address and.
Sure. My name is Tim Newenkirschen. My address is 370 Montgomery Road, Montgomery, Illinois. Actually, I wanted to talk about the land that's over in Marbury Manor, and we have other areas, I'm sure, that was purchased by the government for a floodplain, and houses were taken down. For over 30 years, it's been mowed. The existing things on the land are what were left in the yards. I think it would be a great idea if something was maybe done, a community project, something, to add trees, whether it be like a food forest. I don't know if you're familiar with that idea. It's where you plant everything edible at the 7 different layers of a forest, or even letting it go natural and adding trees to it would be a much better idea than continually mowing, which, of course, grass this tall does not do much for absorbing carbon, where a prairie format or a wooded area would do much better. And the future generations are going to need it. That was just kind of my idea, my comment. I don't know if
Okay.
anyone had any questions.
Yeah, any question for him? Did you come here and talk about this before?
No, I hadn't talked to you guys about
Okay.
it. I talked to Jared over there about it one day.
Okay, I thought somebody came here once.
One
Years
other
ago
thought
to
I
talk
had, do
about
you guys control the sound barrier and the bypass?
No.
You have nothing to do with that? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the state owns that.
Well, so much for that idea. I was going to say it'd be great to put vines on it to cover it.
Yeah, I know they do have some vines on the roadway side of it, right, that they planted?
I
Correct.
think there's a Virginia creeper growing
Yeah,
that started
they
up.
grow up on both sides.
Yeah,
The sides, I've noticed, the sides where it doesn't have it on one side, it does on the other, and it kind of
Okay.
alternates as you go through there.
well, it's just, I was thinking it wasn't a shame, there's like Dutchman's pipe, which there's one swallowtail that lays its eggs on it, and also American bittersweet. Those are poisonous to us, by the way, and so is the Virginia creeper, but the birds like them. Could do wild grapes, that kind of thing.
What's your address, sir?
370 Montgomery Road. Also, I was just thinking too, what about more trees like down Douglas? Like in the roadway area? Possibly? Possibly some fruit trees or something?
Yeah, I'd have to talk with staff about, Public Works about if there's enough room on Douglas. And on the back, basically back to your first comment too, is
Okay,
I think that's something that we could probably look at the viability or the cost of converting, because there is a pretty hefty upfront cost to convert the Parkview stuff from grass to legit native, and if the hydraulics doesn't work for it, it just won't
oh,
take.
for like the floodplain area?
Yeah, and so I'd be willing to guess that maybe we looked at that in the past, but if we didn't, we can. I'm just hesitant to commit to it, if you understand.
Okay, or
But I do
saying like the
appreciate-
food
yeah.
forest. If anyone was interested in what the food forest idea is, if you go on YouTube, there's Beacon Hill near Seattle, Washington, and the Quad Cities, which would represent more of what we are, has something they've set up. And that's also done on floodplain land. So, okay, thank you for
Awesome.
your time.
Thanks, Tim, appreciate it.
Sure.
Sir.
All right, move on to the consent agenda. I'll read the items, entertain a motion for approval. We have minutes of the village board meeting of January 13th, accounts payable through January 23rd, appointment of Marion Bond to Plan Commission for a term through January 31st, 2025, and the appointment of Marion Bond to the ZBA for the same term.
Second.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
And Trustee Betzinger.
That carries 6-0. Thank you. Under items for separate action this evening, we'll talk about the first two items together, correct, Rich? All right, the first item is recommendation of the Montgomery Development Fund Committee on a forgivable loan for JMB Investment Partners LP. And the second item is the resolution 2020-002, authorizing a forgivable loan to John and Mary Ellen Bonk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, tonight, this is an item that I believe we brought forward in November, but there was some clarification that needed to take place with regards to the incorporation and the property ownership. Anyway, the committee met late last fall, the Montgomery Development Fund Committee met late last fall to review this forgivable grant for John and Mary Ellen Bonk on their property that has frontage on Albright Road, but it backs to the off-ramp of Route 30 onto Route 31 at the southwest portion of that interchange. They've cleaned this area up substantially and taken out some concrete that went to the property line. They've opened up an area where trees have now been planted and grass has been established or is being established. And the total cost of that landscape project and concrete removal was $38,500. They've asked for $10,000 from the Montgomery Development Fund forgivable loan portion of that fund, and the committee has recommended approval.
All right, awesome. Any questions? All right, hearing none, is there a motion for item A, the recommendation?
So move.
Second.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Betzinger.
Yes.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
And Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
That carries 6-0. Is there a motion on item B, the resolution 2020-002?
So move.
Second?
Go ahead.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Betzinger. Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
And Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
That carries 6-0.
Thank you.
All right, item C this evening is resolution 2020-003, adopting a complete streets policy. Engineer Waller?
So most of you know, the village has been active in requiring shared use pass with all developments since about 2000. So we've got a pretty extensive network of shared use paths throughout the community. And then 3 years ago, the village board adopted a connection policy so that we would fund additional connections so that we would eliminate gaps in our sidewalks and shared use paths. Recently, the Kane County Council of Mayors initiated a change in their scoring system for road programs. So when we compete for federal funding, so whenever we get like we just completed Orchid Road under a federal program, a local area functional overlay. So the point system is now changing, and one of the things that was added would give us additional points if the village adopted a complete streets program. So staff has reviewed it. We felt like it was consistent with what we were already doing, so it wasn't a big stretch for us, honestly, to have a complete streets program, and it does enhance our ability to get more federal money for other road grants. So we felt like it was a good program to move forward on. So we've basically taken a complete streets policy that was developed in some other communities in Illinois, and then revamped it for specific to the village. And staff's proposing that you consider passage of that resolution so that we can, again, get maximum amount of points when we do compete for federal money at the council.
Perfect. Any questions? All right.
It sounds like it kind of formalizes what we're already doing already with, with the connectivity and our goal of getting complete connectivity across the entire village, so I think it's a great idea.
Is that a motion?
Sure, I have motion to approve.
Second.
Good.
Any discussion? All right, go ahead.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yep.
Trustee Betzinger.
Yes.
And Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
That carries 6-0. Thank you. The last item for separate action is a PSA with EEI for design and construction engineering for the Parkview Drainage Basin maintenance. And Director Wolf?
Thank you, Mr. President. So as many of you may know or may not know, the Parkview Detention Basin services as the primary drainage basin for not only the Parkview subdivision, but also the Marbury Manor subdivision. This basin was constructed, I believe, in 1975. Since that time, there's been little to no maintenance performed in this basin. So this professional service agreements would be for us to do some design and construction for some general just housekeeping, really. There's 2 inlets that primarily feed the basin. So majority of the work to be done is from silt and different debris that has come through those inlets into the basin that's created sediment buildup throughout the year. So a lot of it is that. There's also some work in there for repairs to a existing retaining wall that's currently a timber style retaining wall that also supports a roadway to 2 of our pumping stations, one for the pumping station that pumps out of the basin, and the other is for a pressure reducing station for our water system. So this is the work that would be part of this design and construction. If there's any questions, I'm happy to entertain those at this time.
Any questions?
Yeah,
So I'm
I've
assuming
got
this
one.
is, go ahead.
This is for in the basin. Is it also, just for clarification, the ditch line that runs north of the road that goes around the basin? You know, everything comes into that ditch line, then runs east into the, over into the culvert, into the basin. Are you also looking at that ditch line? The one that's hard to mow is the one I'm talking about.
So not this last year, 2 years ago, as part of our IRP program, we did some ditch line work that would be on the west portion of, more towards the Marbury Manor side, I guess is the best way to put it. We did some under drains in that section. That's where we were having some issues with standing water. The ditch line that's on the other side of that path is in good condition. We don't have standing water there. It is hard to mow, but that would take some major redesign. So that is not part of the scope of this work,
Okay.
no.
All right. Any other questions? Motion?
So moved?
Second?
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yep.
Trustee Betzinger.
Yes.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
And Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
That carries 6-0. Thank you. Under items for discussion this evening, we have 2 items. The first item is regarding solicitor permits. Jeff?
Yes. This is an item that our deputy clerk asked to have brought forward for you guys to consider. Just some information she's gathered from some of the municipal clerk training she's been to. As you can see in the cover sheet, currently it's $30 per solicitor permit, and that's for 30 days. Then they have to re-up. What she said she's seen people doing is going to an annual permit. So what she's suggesting here is $100, and then it would be good for 12 months. The 2 things that does is it reduces the administrative burden. Since we kind of tightened down our solicitor ordinance, it's taken her a lot longer to do the permits just because there's a lot more required. So she said it's gone from about 10 minutes to 45 minutes to handle one, which on its own is fun, but times where we have them come in and they want 20 permits, where they want to blanket the community, it takes some time. So one's the administrative burden, then 2, you may dissuade some people from coming and wanting 20 or 30 at a time, because 20 right now would be $600. Now it goes up to $2,000 if they want to bring that many in. On the other side, now they have 12 months they can come instead of the 30 days. So that's just what you'd have to weigh.
So I guess I kind of misunderstood. I thought we were doing this as an addition to, this is the only solicitor permit. it's now $100.
That's my understanding, is the request would be that it's $100 and it's an annual permit instead of being a monthly.
Okay.
Jeff, would they have to then notify the village of when they're actually going to be going out and knocking on doors, or they can just go anytime they want?
That's something we'd have to, well, down if we'd want them to require, to give us some sort of notice before they're gonna go out. So, and as it
I
said in
would
there,
say
we-
yes.
we'd have the same policy on revocation, if they ended up violating our ordinance, that we can still have the license revoked. So, but we could definitely
Is
work
that
that in if we
harder?
make the change.
Sorry, is that harder to do if it's a 12-month permit versus?
I think so, it'd be the same. Laura's agreeing here.
Yeah, the process should be the same. It's more of just the policy determination of it, but everything else would stay the same, and I don't think there's any other wide-ranging impacts from it.
So this would be a calendar year, not 1 year from the time they apply?
No, I think it'd be 1 year from the time they applied. It'd be 12 months.
I believe last time we discussed this, there was some conversation surrounding the top end of the fee that could be charged by the municipality for the permit. And that was due to the 30-day time frame of that permit? Is that correct? Because there was conversation of, well, let's just make them really expensive and you won't have so many people applying for permits. But I believe we were directed that that would be impermissible.
I think that was part of the conversation. There's no hard and fast rule with what you can charge
Sure.
or not charge, but of course, yes, there is a proportionality to it. And what we had decided with the 30 days is that was kind of the threshold of what we thought, or what we recommended at the comfort level of meeting what would be considered reasonable, and in accordance with what other communities do as well, and what has been upheld by courts versus, the permitting. So that is certainly something to consider with regard to the price point going forward, but it wouldn't prohibit you certainly from adjusting it, but it would be a consideration you'd want to take into account.
And this would be non-transferable. So Steve gets a permit, he leaves the company.
Right, just like
I have
now,
to
if
go
you
apply
have
for a new
5
one.
people from your company are gonna come and solicit, you have to get 5 permits. It'd be the same.
Okay.
I don't necessarily want to change our solicitor ordinance. I don't want to give solicitors a longer opportunity to solicit the village. I'd be willing to make it $100 per person per month. I'd be willing to go the other way.
Seems like a decent compromise.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a good compromise
Right
as
in the
far as
middle.
I'm concerned.
That's why I was asking a calendar year, because if we do it for a calendar year, then in effect, we're doing that. So if they come in and get it in January, it's good for the whole year, and most people walk in the summer. If they come in and get it in May, well, it's good until the end of the year.
Yeah, I
So
was just gonna
calendar
say,
year
I mean,
permit.
I'm guessing there's probably a 3 or 4 month window of prime solicitor time, so to speak.
Right.
I mean, I think it's a good way to dissuade people, because now as a company, you're not gonna send 6 people out. 'Cause
I still think we have to figure out a way to know who's going to be out knocking on the doors, that they're gonna have to give us some kind of notice. And if they say, okay, we're getting ready to go out and knock on doors, then maybe they go for the next 30 days. They're giving us notice, the next 30 days we'll be out knocking on doors. And then if they're gonna do it another 30 days, just so we know who's out there. Because I know a lot of people will check the website, or they go back and forth on Facebook of who's got the solicitor's permit, just as a way to give people some notice of who's out there knocking on the doors.
Yeah, I mean, if the board's in favor of making this change, then we would certainly ask Attorney Julian to work a notice provision in.
We don't require a photo ID, correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay, that was one of the
Like a
changes we
passport
just did.
photo type of thing.
How many of our residents have opted into the no solicitor list?
I do not know that off the top of my head.
We have an idea?
Get that.
Anyone?
No, but I know that there were a lot of people, there was someone generating non-soliciting stickers that people were just going nuts for. I don't know how well those work. I mean, in order to do that, I think that if someone came up to me and I had a no soliciting sign, I think I'd have to call the PD or something and have them somehow fine or ticket the
Well,
solicitor.
and the no soliciting sign doesn't apply to everybody.
Right.
Regardless of what
yeah.
it says, it doesn't apply to churches, it doesn't, I called the PD and was absolutely completely embarrassed after the kid was telling me, no, I don't need one, I don't need one. And I said, yeah, whatever, go away. And I called the PD and the officer came out and he said, is it that kid that's over there? And I said, yeah, and he goes, yeah, he doesn't need one. I talked to him yesterday, because it was an educational thing, he didn't need one. And I was like, well.
It
And
was educational.
of course, the smug little SOB walked past my house with a big old smirk on his face and had a couple of choice words for me, which was rather nice, because I was wrong. But yeah, even if you put the sign up, it doesn't affect political and,
Sure. I
you know,
just was
all those-
curious with that. It seemed we were pretty excited to offer that to the residents. I'm just wondering how many have taken advantage.
We can find out for you.
When you said it takes a lot of time, I mean, how many are we looking at here? Is there, I can see people coming in and.
Depends. We had the one group that I think they put in for 30 at once. They wanted to just be able to blanket the town.
30 of them.
Yeah.
But in other words, all they pay is $100
If
They
you
pay
make this,
$100 per.
per.
Yeah. So it'd be $3,000.
if you make this change, it's either going to work and your number of solicitors are going to go down, or it's gonna backfire on you.
Or no
And they're gonna say, oh, well, the difference between 30 and 100 isn't that much. I'm still gonna take my 30 permits, and now I can solicit the village the
long.
entire year.
Like
And
Doug
that's what
said-
I'm
like Doug
afraid
said,
of.
You're really looking at probably a short window. It's part of the year they're not gonna solicit even if they have it generally.
If they come to my door now,
But
I'm
they never-
buying stuff. Girl Scout cookies are
Automatic
coming.
yes.
I had comments from residents, and in fact, I got a text today from someone asking about the specific item. And she indicated that she signed up for the no solicitors list, and she has seen several occasions where people are out soliciting, and they have a clipboard, and they get to her house, and they're looking at the clipboard, and they just keep on walking. So she feels that the list is working. She said since she signed up, nobody has solicited her house, so.
Awesome. All right. I'm not seeing any, and I could be wrong here, any overwhelming support for going to a 12-month permit.
I would like it on a calendar year. It's good for the calendar year.
Maybe we let it ride the way with the changes we just made, and we just made those changes mid-year last year.
Right.
Maybe we let it ride through this next cycle and see how much of an impact the no solicitor permit, and maybe we put that out there a little bit more. Maybe it goes into a newsletter to remind people. Maybe we Facebook post some of that to try to increase participation leading into the next season in the spring.
Yeah, I'd
And
be
see if
curious
it
on
helps.
the data. How many permits were issued? How many re-upped for a second 30-day timeframe? Got to have some info, I think, before making that kind of adjustment. Now, upping the fee, okay. And, fee to what timeframe? $100 for 6 months or 3 months? Okay, I don't have a problem. But without some of that data, well, yeah, I understand it's more of an administrative burden, but isn't that $30 per application covering our cost of issuing that permit?
And maybe that is a good alternative. Maybe it's $100 for the 3-month period.
Right.
So now it covers the administrative costs and cuts down on the burden of them coming back in and reapplying, redoing background checks, redoing that stuff. And it covers the majority of the window that they would come to solicit anyways. And it's a win-win.
Yeah, I would think spring and summer or something, 6 months through there. I don't see anybody coming to my door now soliciting. If they did, I'd give them a shovel and tell them to do my steps. But then, for the year, it doesn't really make a difference. But the 3 months I can see. I mean, you got some people that may only want to solicit certain times of the year.
Yeah, well, let's see some of the data
Yep.
that we might have. We could chat about it again. Didn't mean to cut it off, but if you have other comments, let staff know, otherwise we'll circle back to this quickly at a future meeting. All right, item B this evening is the Sustainable Initiatives Quarterly Update. Senior Planner Chipman.
Thank you. It is time again for the Sustainable Initiatives Quarterly Update. So a few items to mention. First of all, last week, the village hosted the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus Environmental Committee. It was here in this room, and then they broke out into several sessions and utilized a lot of the village hall. Thank you to President Brawley for giving the opening remarks for that meeting. The topic was in regards to regional climate action planning. The village staff continues to work with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus towards their community solar program. So currently we are awaiting some further communication with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus prior to moving forward with that project. The electric vehicle charging station is functional. We had the ribbon cutting back in early December. It has seen some usage, so we're pretty excited about that. As I previously mentioned, that was a great cooperation or cooperative with King County, who provide the station, and we provide the installation. King County hopes to complete the master and service level agreements for the bike share program here in the early next week. It is staff's intent to get those documents, have them reviewed by Attorney Julian, and then hopefully we can get those before you in early February on the 10th, the meeting on the 10th. A metric for you, the village has issued 113 solar permits in 2019. Now that is up from just 3 permits in 2018. So we saw a 3,666% increase from 1 year. The state incentives and the village's entrance into the Soul Smart program certainly propelled this dramatic rise in permits. And then lastly, I wanted to also make you aware that the Fox Valley Sustainability Network is meeting Friday, January 31st, so this Friday, at 9:30 a.m. in Elgin at the center of Elgin. And that is going to be in regards to solar items as well. So if anybody's interested, I can get you the registration information. With that, I'd like to ask if there are any questions.
How much does it cost to charge your vehicle?
It is currently free. So we've talked about adding a fee, but we wanted to get some data first.
Awesome. That's true.
That's right.
Advertise
Has
that.
anybody used it?
Yes.
Yep,
You just
okay.
said that.
Open, but.
We've had, I have the whole dashboard that I can log into, and we've had several hits on December and January here.
I suggest you get, while it's free, you should think about getting an electric car.
Sounds like a wonderful idea.
You're here anyways.
I am also getting signage for, King County put together a nice sign to place in front of both the parking spaces. So I'm supposed to get those here this Friday, and then I'll work with Public Works in regards to getting those installed.
When the folks in the Mayor's Caucus were out here, did you guys talk at all about the anticipated solar permits that might be coming in 2020? I know that some of the incentives kind of step down starting this year, don't they? So do we think that might be a little bit lower than in years past?
I am not certain about projections, but I do know that the federal incentive stair steps down from 30% to 26%, and then it continues to step down year over year. So there was a lot of interest this first year because it was really the sweet spot. You had the maximum amount of state incentives possible and the maximum amount of federal incentives possible. It would not surprise me if we did see somewhat of a decrease because of this stair step down of incentives. But we didn't talk too much about projections.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Anything new or unfinished?
Yes.
I forgot I was going to mention that my alma mater won the NCAA Division III football championship. His
Mine
team?
did. Wow, coincidence.
You may have seen it on the news.
No.
All right. What do you have?
Did you say Division 6? What? Oh.
Was it junior high?
Get it right.
Intramural, isn't it?
Junior high team?
Was Bonzi High School made it to the finals?
Level, they won the championship.
What do you got?
My question. We recently had a police cruiser that was hit by a drunk driver. Just any damage that was done by that accident, I'm assuming the DUI driver had insurance, and if he didn't have insurance, are we looking at going after him in court?
Okay, I guess that's me. What we do is we normally leave it up to the insurance companies. So far, we haven't had an issue. I believe in this instance, that individual had insurance. So we will be going through the insurance company for that. Normally, we just turn it over to the insurance companies. If any litigation happened, they handle it. I don't think we've gone any other route since I've been here.
Yeah, we submit it to our insurance company, and if there's, a chance for subrogation, then they'll go after the other company, after the other individual's
I know that
insurance.
there was also discussion that that police vehicle may have potentially been totaled. That's not true, that it's,
No, actually, it was repaired, and I believe it's back in service already.
okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
I think I'd just like to thank the MPD for
Yeah.
the incident that was all over the news and everything, that maybe we should put out a press release. If you're a bad person, you don't want to come and hang out in Montgomery because we will get you. So that was some fine work on the officers, the responding officers that got the intel and then passed it along to lead to the arrest. So thank you to the department.
Technology is a great thing. I reached out to Debbie, and approximately 200 people on the no solicitor list.
No, I've heard a lot more people than that complain about people soliciting at their doors. So perhaps we do a little PR campaign to promote that list can be effective, and maybe cut down on those inconveniences of folks who don't want anyone knocking on their door, because that's not a lot of households.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, Jeff.
All right. Future meetings, Plan Commission is Thursday, February 6th, and our next village board meeting is February 10th at 7 PM, and we will have the committee of the whole likely on Tuesday, February 18th of this month. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss collective negotiating matters.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Youngerman.
Yes.
Trustee Marisak.
Yes.
Trustee Guyer.
Yes.
Trustee Spurling.
Yes?
Trustee Lee. And Trustee Betzinger.
Yes.
Thank you.